All right. What do you want me to discuss on the review? Hey? So 1 and 2 are very similar. So if you're good with 1, you should be good with 2 then. The first thing is this. If negative I is a root, solution, 0, answer. What else has to be? Positive I. Okay, so if you would look at over here, question number 2. Question number 2 said I had 4, negative radical 5, and negative 5. Then what else has to be a solution for number 2? Positive radical 5. Okay, that's the first thing. Recognizing that. From there, if these are my solutions, I can go backwards and write the factors that they must have come from. Negative 2 must have come from x minus negative 2, which is plus 2. Good. Negative 1 must have come from x minus negative 1, which is plus 1. Negative I came from x plus I came from x minus I. You have the zeros, which usually you find by factoring the expression out. We're going backwards. We have the zeros, go backwards, they must have come from these factors. And then just keep going backwards. Multiply this all together. So I would multiply these together, which is x squared plus 3x plus 2. Multiply these together, which is x squared minus xi plus xi minus I squared. You okay that far? What is I squared? It's negative 1. So that second expression has negative xi plus xi, that's gone. And it has minus negative 1, which is actually plus 1. And then distribute these together. X to the 4th plus 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus x squared plus 3x plus 2. So my final answer, x to the 4th plus 3x cubed plus 3x squared plus 3x plus 2. It said write a polynomial function f. So if you don't have f of x equals that, you haven't written the right thing. There's an awful lot of stuff. That's why I had to get a little bit snarky with the first period class. We had some irresponsible students who didn't do their homework. I think on this test, more than some others, there is some vocabulary that you need to be comfortable with, or else you get a little bit lost and you miss some silly points. This said write a function. Well, then it's got to be f of x equals all that. Question number 10 at the bottom of the page. Part B. It asks you to do what? Part B asks you to do what? Factor completely. It doesn't say find me the solutions. Okay? Don't tell me about the answers. I need the factors. So when I look on the review guide, Come on now. You can do it, thank you. What am I talking about? I need the factors. I don't want to see 7, 5, and -2. I need this. I need the factors. Follow the directions. Answer the question I'm asking. Okay? The thing I've received the most questions on has been number 11. People have been looking at number 11, and they have been saying, well, I don't understand how I use the graphing calculator and finite differences together. Okay? Understand these are two separate things. Graphing calculator, finite differences. These are two separate tools that I'm going to use to come up with this function. Okay? This polynomial. The first is finite differences. Finite differences, you will recall, is this process of taking the y values, subtracting them from right to left. This gives me 87, 27, 19, and 3. Are those the same? Then this is not linear.
7 minus 3 is 4.
Oh, geez, thank you. Actually, 57, isn't it? No, 47. You're right, thank you. I do it again. 40, 28, 16. Are those the same? No. I do it again. 12, 12. Are those the same? Which tells me that those points came from what kind of function? Cubic. Use a graphing calculator and finite differences. The finite differences tells me that those points came from a cubic function. Now that I know that, now I would pull up my graphing calculator. All right, fine. There you go. Now I'd pull up my graphing calculator, and I would use the regression feature, because now I know which regression feature to use. Everything you need for regression is under what button? Stat. I go to Stat, Edit, put in my points. Okay, if you want to do this with me, I'll pause for a little bit. If you want to grab a graphing calculator, grab a graphing calculator. If you feel like you're good on this and you're just kind of absorbing, you can absorb. Stat, put the numbers in. And then once the numbers are in, stat and count. And like I said, there's about 10 different regression options in the graphing calculator. But because of finite differences, I know which one to use. I know I need to use cubic. And what do you see on the screen right now that verifies that this function is perfectly cubic? R squared is 1. Remember, only linear regression has an R value. every regression has an R squared value. So there's the coefficient of determination, if you ever take that class. That tells me these points can be perfectly modeled by a cubic equation. The equation 2x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 2. I have had students in years past on this test who have asked me on the test, hey, I don't understand what the test means when it says use the graphing calculator and finite differences. And my response has been and will continue to be this. It means the same thing it meant on the review. That's why I do a review assignment. That's why I'm doing an incredibly detailed review assignment. There should be no questions about what any of the directions mean. Those questions need to get answered when you do the review. But you guys all did, which is fantastic. So we should be in good shape. What's next? Yes, ma'am.
Did you get the R squared on the
Okay. So do understand you don't have to have the R squared, but if you want it, and you'll always have to turn it on if you're borrowing one of mine, mode stat diagnostics must be turned on. I don't exactly know why Texas Instruments has the default setting as turned off. I think I know. I think because there is value. In stats class this year, we spent some time, we actually played a really fun game. The students really got into it. It became very competitive. We played a game where I would put scatter plots up on the board, and they had to guess at the R value. With are the points really close to a line, or are they kind of far away, or are they really far away? Students had to guess at the R value. And then we found the actual R value using this software program. And then I calculated the difference, and the student with the smallest difference won. Nobody got it perfect. Of course, we were doing R values to the thousandth place. Nobody got it perfect, but I had 3 students that were off by 1/1000th. Like they came 1/1000th away from having a perfect R value. And once you get past the 10th place, it's all a guessing game anyways. So in that class, I understand why they don't have it automatically come up. There is value in you looking at a scatter plot and saying, well, I think it's about here before you see it. But other than that, I don't know why they don't have it automatically. Okay, where's your next? Ready? Sorry? 7. So first off, let's go look at number 5. Number 5 is a division problem, but you cannot use, or you could use synthetic division on that, and I absolutely would. It's easier. You can't use synthetic division on this one. The only option here is long division. If you could use synthetic division, then you would have to account for the fact that there's no x squared. You don't have to do that if you're doing long division, but I would recommend it because it'll keep your terms lined up correctly. If you don't do this, you might end up combining terms that really can't be combined. Okay. How do I get this 3x x to the 4th? That would be x squared. That's all I'm looking at right here. It'd be x squared times 3x squared. 3x squared times x squared, 3x to the 4th. Then I also have to multiply by these. 9x cubed plus 3x squared. And this is where almost every single issue has come up. With the students I've helped with this problem, almost every single student had the same issue. They went like this. And when you do that, there is a very good chance that you're only going to subtract those first terms. I talked about the fact that as earth-shattering as this might be, you have never subtracted in an algebra course. You haven't done any, if you're dealing with polynomials and variables, you have never subtracted. because we don't subtract in algebra. Because subtraction is not commutative. Subtraction is not associative. What do? We add the opposite. That's the definition. That's why every time you see me work on a problem like this, I don't just put a subtraction sign out front and hope that I remember to subtract them all. I add the opposites. I change every sign. And then I add them together. That's how you subtract in algebra. You add the opposite. That's 0. This is 7x cubed. This is negative 3x squared. Bring down the next term. And then run it again. You multiply by 7x. Minus 21x squared plus 7x, which I subtract, giving me 18x squared minus 2x minus 3. All right, multiply by in the last step. Just 18. That gives me 18x squared minus 54x plus 18, which I subtract, leaving me 52x minus 21. Right? That was negative 3 times 18. All that plus. Listen, I want this to be a black pen. That's what it says here. Have I mentioned how much I love the new SpenCubes? Oh, I haven't? Must be a reason for that. I think that's hard to read, but I'm just using the same thing the whole time.
You can erase if you like to use your hair.
I can, but I don't want to keep going back and erasing and it writes and erase and writes. It just does red, black, red, black, red, black, and it should not be complicated. I chose black, you should write in black. That's what I said to do. Oh, actually, maybe I can make myself even angrier. What if I did this? Nope, they're all red. And now some are black and some are red. There, I feel much better. Now I'm angry. Next question. Yes?
I have a question about that. Is that a plus 18 or a minus 18?
It's a plus 18.
Oh.
And I've desperately tried to make it black in several different forms. I'll try it one last time. Nope, making it red still. There we go. There it is. Pen, black. Pen, black. Checked. Oh, there we go. 4th time's the charm. And now it looks like 4 times black. Next question. Yes. Thank you. All right. W of x is v of 1/3 x. So I take the function v, which is given at the top of the paper, and everywhere I see an x, I replace it with 1/3 x. Okay, so 1/3 times 1/3 is 1/9. 9 times 1/3 is 3. 1/9 times 27 is 3. So W of x equals 3x squared minus 3x. And it said, find W of 15. So sub 15 into my new function, which is 3 times 2, 25 minus 45, which is 675, minus 45, which is 630. And I believe that's in cubic feet. Represents volume in cubic feet. Okay. Next question. Okay. 13. So 13 again, part B, don't worry about it. It says G is the number in billions of new green tea sales. J is the number of billions of new fruit juice sales. Letter A says find the new model A for the total number. This is admittedly kind of a strange way of getting an application. But what we're saying is add these up. What was the first one? Green tea, fruit juice. What's the total? Just add them up. And that was A. What else? Yes. So if you recall, this is where we started our discussion, which eventually led us to be able to solve polynomial equations. Where we started was I said, okay, I'm going to give you one of the answers, and you go find the rest. And then we eventually introduced the rational root theorem, which said, all right, the answers are in here somewhere. Start plugging them in until you find something that works. I'm telling you that x plus 2 works. And if x plus 2 were a factor of an equation, I would set that equal to 0, and I would have a solution of what? And that's what I sub in. That's what I sub in. 1, negative 2, negative 12, 24, 35, negative 70, 0. The problem said it's a factor. It had to work. But I sub that in, which leaves me with a quadratic. Which I can solve by factoring. And if my question was, what are the solutions? I would say, oh, x minus 5 means I have a solution at, and x minus 7 means I have a solution at, but it didn't ask for the solution. It asked me to do what? Factor completely. So the complete factorization is the one I was given and the 2 I found. That's why I'm saying one of the issues with this test is understanding the wording. Understanding what finite differences means. How it relates to regression. Understanding I'm asking for the factorization, not the solution. On the fact, then I ask for, or other problems I guess I should say, then I ask for solutions. Okay? Anything else? All right. Let me pass back some quizzes.
No, to continue.